you imagine if I used the F-bomb? You know what it would be? I tell people, it would be the electric chair.
There's the childish nicknames.
Very people who perpetrated the lies that I was an agent of Russia, like Adam Shifty Schiff and others.
The crazy conspiracy theories.
If you look for a job and you give up looking for that job because after 4 or 5 months you can't find one, you are considered statistically employed. We have
this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
This is the Rebel Alliance. ABC News has opened the gates for Donald Trump to bully every news network, or every TV station in general, into submission. Trump filed a lawsuit against ABC News after George Stephanopoulos stated on air that Trump, quote, has been found liable for rape by a jury, unquote. The jury found in the case against Trump by E. Jean Carroll that Trump was liable for sexual assault but was not guilty of rape. I'll explain why ABC News should have let the case go to court instead of settling, and why they would have won. The legal definition of rape in New York is forcible vaginal penetration by a penis. The definition of rape in common language is forcible penetration by any means, which includes Trump's tiny fingers. E. Jean Carroll alleged that she attempted to force Trump off of her while he yanked down her pants and forcibly penetrated her with his fingers. When Trump filed a countersuit against Carroll, stating that she had defamed him, a judge immediately shot that case down, saying that the jury found him not guilty of rape only because they had been instructed to use the legal definition of rape, and that E. Jean Carroll had not provided sufficient evidence that Trump had penetrated her with his penis. Using that argument, ABC News should have let the case go to court, and they would have won. Instead, they bowed down and let it be known that Trump would be able to force them into submission. This will send a message to Trump that he can force into submission any network that airs something he doesn't like. Technically, the $15 million is slated for a Trump Presidential Foundation and Museum, but we know that it may as well have been a check written out to Trump himself. The ability to control the media is one of the first steps toward a dictatorship. Do any news networks still have the guts to stand up to Trump, or will they allow him to bully them into reporting only what he wants reported? ABC News, you have set in motion the end of freedom of the press. As we celebrate Christmas this year, countless families are grieving instead of celebrating. The latest in a long series of gun violence incidents took 3 lives last week, including that of the suspected shooter. The shooter was a student at Abundant Life Christian School, where she killed 1 teacher and 1 other student and injured at least 6 others. She had been armed with 2 handguns, but only used 1 of them. The motive for the crime remains unclear, but the FBI and Madison police are still investigating. It is known that both of the shooter's parents had been divorced and remarried twice. She had been enrolled in therapy in 2022, allegedly to help her decide which parent to spend weekends with. Months prior to the shooting, the perpetrator had joined a gun club with her father after they had gone together to a shooting range. Her social media expressed feelings of alienation. A manifesto with more information is believed to have been discovered, but I don't know the contents of that manifesto at this time. I expect to revisit this topic in coming weeks. still ahead on Rebel Alliance, we'll take a look at this week in history. But first, let's go looking for those people who were a few fries short of a Happy Meal. This week's most moronic morons. In third place, it's Tucker Carlson. After losing jobs at CNN, PBS, MSNBC, and Fox News, Tucker Carlson is now using Truth Social to promote the Tucker Carlson Network, using the tagline, "Give the gift of Tucker." For just $72 a year, you can have unlimited access to Tucker Carlson's squeaky, whining voice. As if what anybody in the world needs is more Tucker Carlson. In second place, J.D. Vance. After Trump has been bringing up the idea of stealing the Panama Canal from, Panama, J.D. has posted an image of the canal with the United States flag and the caption, "Welcome to the United States Canal." Like that's what we need to be focusing on right now. Bonehead. But in first place, it's Elon Musk. Remember back toward the beginning of this podcast, in one of the very first episodes, when I said it may already be the plan to install Elon Musk as the President of the United States? Well, it appears that Donald Trump is now a puppet of Elon Musk, who is operating under the direction of the Chinese government. In recent declarations, Musk has said that as part of his role in the new Department of Government Efficiency, a department so efficient that it needs to be run by 2 people, he would start eliminating other government departments, particularly the ones that regulate his businesses. Can we say conflict of interest? Can we say against the law? That gives Elon Musk the dishonor of being this week's most moronic moron. And now, a look at this week in history. On December 22nd, 1978, John Wayne Gacy confessed to dozens of murders of boys and young men. He had first come under suspicion when police were investigating the disappearance of a young man who had last been seen with Gacy. When police searched Gacy's house, they noticed a strong stench coming from the crawl space. They would eventually find 29 bodies under the house, and 4 more that had been dumped in a nearby river. In March 1980, Gacy would be convicted on 33 counts of murder. On December 23, 1823, A Visit from St. Nicholas was originally published. Credit for the poem was given to Clement Clark Moore, who said he wrote some of the lines not for publication, but to amuse his children. The poem, often called The Night Before Christmas in modern years, provided the first description we have of our modern image of Santa Claus. On December 24th, 1923, President Calvin Coolidge touched a button that lit the first national Christmas tree to be lit on the White House grounds. It was also the first Christmas tree to be decorated with electric light bulbs. The tree was adorned with strands of red, white, and green bulbs. The tree started a White House tradition that has been repeated by every administration since. Ronald Reagan started another tradition in 1981 when he authorized the first official White House ornament. On December 25th, 1941, White Christmas, sung by Bing Crosby, played on the radio for the first time. The song would be featured in the film Holiday Inn, which Crosby also starred in. It would go on to become one of the best-selling Christmas songs of all time, a title that it would later be stripped of. On December 26, 1973, The Exorcist opened in theaters. The film, based on William Peter Blatty's 1971 novel of the same name about the last sanctioned Catholic exorcism in the 1940s. The film starred Linda Blair as Reagan and would go on to earn a reputation as one of the scariest movies ever made. On December 27, 1968, Apollo 8 returned safely to Earth after orbiting the Moon 10 times. Apollo 8 was the first manned mission to the Moon and set the stage for the astronauts of Apollo 11 to become the first humans to walk on the Moon. On December 28, 1895, the first commercial movie was screened at the Grand Café in Paris. The film had been made by Louis and Auguste Lumière, two French brothers who had developed a camera projector. In 1896, the Lumière brothers began opening cinemas to show off their work. In addition to motion picture technology, the Lumière brothers also developed the first practical color photography process, the autochrome plate, which debuted in 1907. On December 28, 1973, President Richard Nixon signed the Endangered Species Act into law. The act is considered one of the most significant and influential laws in American history. Among other things, the act mandated that the federal government keep a list of all species in need of protection, prohibited federal agencies from jeopardizing such species or their habitats, and empowered the government to do more to protect wildlife. Since the act was signed into law, more than 100 endangered species have seen more than a 90% recovery. And that's this week in history on Rebel Alliance. Since Donald Trump is so obsessed with crowd sizes, how about in 4 weeks' time, we show him the largest crowd to ever peacefully protest a presidential inauguration? Remember to do your part by not patronizing businesses that support MAGA. Let's bankrupt them. Yes, this episode is shorter, and yes, it is because of the Christmas holiday. Thank you, Rebels, for being part of the Alliance, and thank you for listening. Please subscribe to Rebel Alliance on Spotify and YouTube. If you know someone who should be listening to Rebel Alliance, send it to them and ask them to subscribe as well. A very Merry Christmas to you and your family. Have a wonderful holiday. So that's Rebel Alliance for this week. 4 weeks until the inauguration of lame duck sex offender, dissociative youth president, convicted felon Donald Trump, and 212 weeks until the scheduled end of his presidency. Do what you can to resist, and in the meantime, keep breathing, drink water, take your vitamins and meds, and sleep when you can. Until next time, never back down.